What they did to Jacob's descendants in America, they do to his remnants in Palestine, aka Israel.
High up in the Ozark Hills, in the state of Arkansas, dozens of people have been working hard, building houses and a new type of community. It's called Return to the Land, and it is a town open to white people only.
Okay.
It's so weird watching black people get mad at white people for starting functioning white communities. It's like, you know how happy we'd be to see black people start a functioning black community? Like, we would leave you to it. We would be, oh my goodness, good for you guys.
History says otherwise. Every time Black Americans built thriving, independent towns, white racists didn't celebrate it. They bombed it. They burned it down, or they buried them under lakes. Greenwood, Tulsa, Black Wall Street. Greenwood wasn't just doing well, it was booming. Doctors, lawyers, pilots, banks, theaters, luxury shops. White racists couldn't stand to see Black excellence thrive on its own terms. So in 1921, they dropped bombs, set fires, murdered people in the streets. Survivors said they saw white neighbors wearing their stolen clothes the next day. Rosewood, Florida. Rosewood had 2-story homes, a school, a post office, businesses. A lie about a white woman led to a massacre. White mobs destroyed the whole town. Oscarville, Georgia, now Lake Lanier. Black farmers owned land, made money, raised families. White residents didn't like that. So in 1912, they terrorized every Black person out of town. Decades later, the whole community was flooded to build Lake Lanier. Their homes are still at the bottom. Seneca Village, NYC, now Central Park. This was a stable, middle-class neighborhood. Black families owned land, voted, and lived free. Then the city tore it down to build a park. The land is now worth hundreds of millions. The original owners got nothing. Colaja in Susanna, Alabama, now Lake Martin. Colaja had its own school, businesses, and even a railroad. Susanna had homes, churches, and deep roots. Both towns were drowned, literally, under Lake Martin to build a hydroelectric project. And today, people jet ski over the bones of a Black legacy. Vanport, Oregon, built during World War II. It was one of the only places Black people could live due to racist housing laws. In 1948, officials intentionally failed to warn Black residents about rising floodwaters. When the dike broke, a wall of water wiped out Vanport in a single day. Over 18,000 residents were displaced. These towns were thriving, innovative, self-sufficient Black communities. And every single time, that success was met with white rage, jealousy, and destruction. Over 200 Black towns destroyed by mobs, policy, bulldozers, and floods. This country never minded Black poverty. It fears Black prosperity.
From the West Coast to the Midwest and the South to the East Coast, Black people, the Covenant people's success was met with white terrorism. Yes, that's here in the United States of America. That was the situation. From the West Coast, Portland, Oregon, to the Midwest, Oklahoma, Greenwood, to the South, Alabama, to the East Coast, in New York City, Central Park area. All across America, this was the treatment of the covenant people. Those who were enslaved, scattered into captivity around the world by the Gentiles, the so-called Negro, the blacks, whether it was in America, in Mexico, Brazil, Jamaica, Haiti, Dominican Republic, and all of the other islands in the Caribbean that I didn't mention, Martinique, Guadeloupe, for example. All of these areas scattered into captivity. Now, the sister is correct, but not only with regards to blacks here in America. We see what's happening to the remnants of Jacob's descendants in Palestine right now. We see what the Netanyahu clan, the Ashkenazim, are doing to those people. We see it. And it is similar to what the Gentiles did to black people right here in the United States of America. We see Netanyahu's people tearing down the buildings of the Palestinians, tearing down their vineyards, tearing down their olive trees. We see this. We see the genocide. We see the killing, the murder, the slaughter of women and children and men in Palestine. We see it, yes, of the remnants. Now, there are some of you who really don't have an ethnic or cultural knowledge of the people in what you all call the Middle East. It is actually the Near East, and it's part of Africa, much of it. You don't have a real knowledge of the ethnic and the cultural situation there. Most of the people there you all refer to as Arab. Arab was a distinct tribe of people who originated from Arabia. And after the rise of Islam, Arabic became the major language because of Islam. The teachings of the Quran was written in the Arabic language. So people who were converted to Islam or were conquered under Islam, they many times became known as Arabs, when in fact, ethnically, they were not Arab. That is the case with the Palestinian people. The Palestinian people are a distinct people, just like many of the other groups over there are a distinct people. For example, if you read the Bible, you read about the Syrians. The Syrians were not considered Arab in the Bible. You read about other ethnic groups. They were not considered Arab in the Bible. But today, many of you misconstrue the Palestinians, as well as other groups over there, as Arabs. And you can't do that. It's not accurate. Many of you even call Muammar Gaddafi an Arab. Muammar Gaddafi was not an Arab. He spoke Arabic, yes, as most people in that region of the world, be it North Africa or in the Near East, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Syria, and other countries there, they speak Arabic. Now you have Iran. Iran, they speak the Persian language, Farsi, not Arabic. Many of them can speak Arabic, but that's not their main language. That's not their national language. Understand? Now, before I close, I want to share with you some information from the chapter, a couple of chapters actually in Isaiah. The first one will be chapter 18, and the next one will be chapter 25 in the book of Isaiah. Isaiah, the 18th chapter, starting at the first verse, it says, "Woe to the land shadowing with wings, which is beyond the rivers of Ethiopia." That is Africa. We call it Africa today. In biblical times, that whole area was referred to as Ethiopia. The second verse says, "that sends ambassadors by sea." So these African people, these black people, were sending ambassadors upon the sea. And the best seafaring people were the Canaanites, known as the Phoenicians by the Greeks. They send ambassadors by sea in vessels of bulrushes upon the waters. Now, the bulrushes are those reeds that you see along the Nile River that Egyptians or the Canaanites would structure or build ships from. Vessels of bulrushes upon the waters, saying, "Go, you swift messengers, to a nation scattered and peeled." The Gentiles were referred to as nations. So Gentile is often synonymous with the word nation. Scattered and peeled. Peeled is another way where Isaiah, he would refer to white-skinned people, peeled people. In the Greek, you have the word leper, but in the Greek, leper is pronounced lepien, Lepein. Lepien means to peel, literally to peel. So leper, to peel, peel skin. Saying, go, you swift messengers, these Africans, go, you swift messengers, to a nation scattered and peeled, to a people terrible from their beginning hitherto, to this very time. A nation meted out and trodden down, where the land, or those where the land, the rivers have been spoiled. Talking about the lowlands, the Netherlands, the land of the Vikings in Europe. This is what this is talking about. Now I want you to focus on something here. The word terrible, terrible people, peeled people. This was the lingo that the prophet Isaiah would use. Now, if we go to the 25th chapter of Isaiah, the second verse, and we're going to start at the second verse, but we're going to go on down to the 5th verse also. The second verse says, for you have made a city a heap, like a mound of destruction, like you see in Palestine right now, where the Israelis, Netanyahu's clan, has destroyed much of Gaza, and you see a heap of debris. So a city, a heap of a defense city, a ruin, a palace of strangers. Strangers in the Bible were people who lived among the descendants of Jacob and sometimes were considered Jewish, but they were not ethnically, by lineage, Jewish, but they lived among the Hebrew people, the strangers. So today, that would be Netanyahu's people. They are the strangers in the land. So a palace of strangers to be a city, a palace of strangers. We're talking about Netanyahu's people. It shall never be built. And we see that war is continuous over there after Netanyahu's people arrived a little before 1948. There's been nothing but bloodshed. Nothing but. So let's go to Isaiah, the 25th chapter, the 5th verse. It says, you shall bring down the noise of strangers. There's that word again, strangers. Netanyahu's people, Gentiles, the pretenders, the identity thieves. Bring down the noise of strangers as the heat in a dry place, like thermonuclear heat. Even the heat with the shadow of a cloud. That thing, that thermonuclear bomb that produces the shadow of a cloud. What cloud? A mushroom cloud. The branch of the terrible ones, the lineage, the branch. What branch? The Ashkenazim branch, the Gomer branch, the Ashkenaz branch shall be brought down. The branch of the terrible ones. You see the word terrible again. The terrible ones shall be brought low. Brought low. Thermonuclear bombs in the area. Okay, that concludes this program. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope most of all that you learned something. And if you learned something, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with other people. That is the way that the truth grows. This is T West with Afro Synergy News.